All right. Hi, everyone. As folks trickle in, we'll just get started here. We want to welcome everyone to this GMF webinar on how to accelerate local home energy upgrades. I'm Ann Biasenhart. I'm a project coordinator here at FCM's Green Municipal Fund, and I'll be facilitating today's session along with my colleague Jillian Young. We're also here with our colleagues Rosabel Rosario and Rita Shergi. Before we dive in, I have a few housekeeping items to get through. Today's event will be taking place in English with French interpretation available. To join the French interpretation, you can click the interpretation button in the lower right of your screen. It's a little globe. The webinar today, le webinaire d'aujourd'hui se déroulera en anglais avec une interprétation en
Today's
français
webinar
disponible.
will be
Si vous
in
souhaitez
English
écouter
and you
en
have
français, veuillez
a
cliquer
French
sur le bouton
interpretation. If
d'interprétation
you
en
want
bas
to
à
listen to the
droite de
French,
votre
click
écran.
on the
C'est le
interpretation
petit
button
tableau.
at the
Et
bottom of your
sélectionnez
screen.
l'option
It's in
française.
the form of a globe.
We also have
Just choose
two separate
French.
slide decks in English and in French, and you can see the options at the top of your screen to switch between the two. As we move through our presentations today, I ask that you submit your questions to the Q&A box as they come up. We'll address them during our overall Q&A at the end. You're welcome to ask questions through the chat box during the presentations in the language of your choice, and we'll keep an eye out for any clarification questions, and we'll strive to answer questions asked during the presentations. And moving to the next slide, we'd like to begin this event by acknowledging that we are gathering from FCM's offices, which are located on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation, whose continued presence here reaches back to time immemorial. Ottawa is located at the heart of three rivers, the Ottawa River, also known as the Kitchissippi in Anishinaabemowin, the Gatineau River, and the Rideau River, and has been a natural meeting place for the Anishinaabe Algonquin people for thousands of years. As we meet today to exchange ideas about past, present, and future projects, I invite you to think about how collaboration shows up in your day-to-day and how it can be brought forward as a pillar in your work towards an equitable, climate-ready future. And I'll move to the next slide. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Green Municipal Fund, we're a program of $2.4 billion funded by the Government of Canada and implemented by FCM. We offer a unique mix of funding and capacity building to deliver clear environmental, economic, and local and social impact across Canada. And I'll move to the next slide. The focus of today's webinar is GMF's Community Efficiency Financing Initiative, or CEF. Launched in 2020 as a 6-year, $300 million initiative, CEF has supported more than 40 municipalities across 8 provinces to launch and expand innovative financing programs for home energy upgrades. By empowering homeowners to invest in energy-efficient upgrades, CEF has strengthened local economies, supported climate leadership, and made homes healthier, more affordable, and more resilient. Today, we'll hear success stories of CEF programs and learn about best practices, lessons learned, and recommendations for accelerating your own home energy programs going forward, including specific tools and approaches that our presenters have used to remove barriers and increase uptake of home energy upgrades. We'll also have a facilitated panel at the end of this session, during which we'll highlight how these practices can be replicated in other communities and program contexts. We hope you leave today's webinar with practical ideas that you can integrate into your own work and community. And I'll move to the next slide. We have an exciting lineup of speakers today, starting with Shannon Gabelhaus, who is the program lead of contractor management at Alberta Municipalities, where she enjoys working with contractors as they work to bring energy efficiency to reality through the Clean Energy Improvement Program. She's currently focused on establishing relationships, finding ways to improve the contractor CIP experience, and encouraging synergy between the program, industry, and homeowners. And she'll be presenting on best practices for contractor management and engagement. Next up, we'll be hearing from Soren Christensen, who has worked at the City of Kingston since 2019 and is currently with the Climate Leadership Division. In his time with the City of Kingston, he has launched an expanded car share program with Cominato, completed single-use plastics reduction initiatives at the Grand Theatre, and worked to implement and manage the CEF-funded Better Homes Kingston program, which he will be sharing about today with regards to energy coaching. Last but certainly not least, we have Kaylee Halcrow, a project manager in the sustainability department at the City of Saskatoon, where she specializes in building energy conservation initiatives. Since joining the city in 2021, Kaylee has played a key role in managing property-assessed clean energy programs, including Saskatoon's Home Energy Loan Program for single-family residential buildings. She'll be telling us about HELP and how she and her team have embedded equity into the program. And I'll go to the next slide. As we move into the presentations, please feel free to add your questions for the presenters either in the chat or the Q&A box, and I'll pass it over to Shannon to start us off.
Thanks so much, Anne. Appreciate that. Hi, my name is Shannon Gablehouse. I'm the Contractor Management Lead for the Clean Energy Improvement Program at Alberta Municipalities, and I'm joining you here today from Treaty 6 territory, otherwise known as Edmonton. Today, I will be focusing on the contractor work related to the Clean Energy Improvement Program, which I'm now going to refer to as CEIP because words, and not as much about the participant journey. So let's dive in. Next slide, please. Alberta Municipalities is the program administrator for CEIP. We service the province of Alberta and currently administer 25 active municipal programs. The Clean Energy Improvements Regulation is the guiding document and foundation for all CEIP programs in Alberta. In this provincial CEI regulation, it sets the mandate for the contractor network. It requires the administrator to maintain a publicly listed directory on our website. We're required also to reinforce a code of conduct, marketing guidelines, and the issue escalation framework. The regulation requires that all contractors who do work on a project must be a qualified contractor, following all relevant municipal, provincial, and federal requirements for licensing, certifications, and permitting. It outlines that a project agreement between the contractor, administrator, and the participant supersedes other agreements for the services being financed through the program. Lastly, all qualified contractors must meet warranty requirements. So to date, we have over 630 contractors on the CEIP directory that have all been onboarded according to the guidelines in the regulation. All right. So on this slide, I'm going to highlight that, in the 5 years that we have administered the program, we've been continually making improvements and making efficiencies in all areas of the application process, but there's also been some challenges, which I'll share. So some efficiencies that we've realized, back in 2022, we streamlined the contractor application process by connecting a website form to our backend CRM. We created a separate contractor webpage where this form now lives. The application form is fully accessible to the public and takes only 5 minutes to fill out. At this point, however, we still had a very manual onboarding process on the back end for our team. So in 2024, we made huge gains by launching a customized system for all administrative tasks for the program and built it to be much more automated for contractor onboarding. The system is powered by a software called DropZone, which was created by a Canadian company named Parachute. The way the system works is that the application form on our website is submitted and then received into the system, which automatically creates and populates a portal record for that contractor. From there are a series of automated workflows which get the contractor from application phase through to listed on the contractor directory, and more on those automations in a moment. Early last year, we introduced the portal for participants and municipal staff, connecting all three aspects of the program. In 2026, we are finalizing the connection of the contractor and participant portals so that contractors have better transparency into payment timelines and their active CEIP projects. Some challenges that we faced along the way and continue to face in some ways, we must follow the Prompt Payment and Construction Lien Act. As part of being governed by the Alberta regulation, this act requires that payment is made within 28 days of the date on an invoice. With any delays from participants or contractors, this can create some tight timelines for our team to review. Next, the Construction Lien Act requires that we hold back 10% of upgrade costs for 60 days to ensure subcontractors have not issued a lien on the property title due to lack of payment by a primary contractor. This introduced some extra back-end work to ensure that payment is automatically released at that time. And there was significant investment of resources, as you can imagine, in the upfront design of the system. Designing the customized system was a multi-party project with many moving parts. So coordinating schedules and resources, of course, was one of those early day challenges as well. But here's why it's all worth it. Next slide, please. Now with our system, we've introduced a lot of automation, which significantly reduces the amount of time our team spends and the number of touches on each application. Previously, we were using a number of tools to onboard contractors, from SurveyMonkey, PDF forms, PowerPoints for training, emails and Outlook, adding customized text into every email for missing information. Now, onboarding takes place in one system. The training, gathering, payment information, and communications are all within the system. Some of the things we've automated to streamline onboarding is, first, the form becomes the contractor record, and the record automatically populates the contractor directory once contractors are fully onboarded. They are then listed on the application form, so participants can select them for their proposed upgrades. All of this is happening automatically through our system. Automated emails are sent from DropZone. For example, our team reviews an application, and if there's any missing information from the contractor, an automated email is populated and sent out to them. Their profile status updates to reflect that we are waiting for their response, and none of that takes any touches from our team. As a contractor progresses through the application and onboarding, the record status updates, and the system sends out relevant emails. Another major time saver has been the API connection between the DropZone system to our internal accounting software called Sage. An API connection allows one application or program to auto-connect to another, and they share data. All in all, we are able to fully onboard using automated processes and workflows all in one system. These automations at each stage of the process have added up to a time saving of about 45 minutes per application, so that now our team only spends about 10 to 15 minutes per application. What we've learned from this process of changing to a centralized system is to distill what the core needs are and focus on the 80% of cases and build that system for that 80%. We looked for anywhere that could be automated by asking, what are the repetitive tasks that are causing backlogs? What tasks could be lumped into one step of the onboarding process rather than a bunch of disparate steps? And we invested in the resources upfront to focus on a great system that would pay off by saving time later in administration. Next slide, please. So here I'm going to show you some snips of various stages of our onboarding and our system. The first snip is of the contractor directory and how participants can find the qualified contractors already onboarded to do SEEP projects. So they can filter through their, where they're located, what services they offer, and if they are doing residential or commercial property upgrades. Next, please. We have the top of a contractor profile here as we would see it on our end in the DropZone system. Contractors can log in and see the same profile with only their company information and contacts. Another cool feature of the system is that we can customize different roles of those who are logged in so that the contractors have a pared down view compared to what our team will see. You can see the communications heading there. Maybe it's a little small, but that first dark blue line is the communications heading, and our team can see all the communications between the contractor and ourselves and any notes that we might add to that profile. The next snip is of the review panel our team uses to do the only manual work on any application coming from contractors. This is an example of something the contractor would not see, but our team has full access to, and this is also what helps populate those emails if we're missing any information. The last snip here, these are the modules that contractors will complete through the onboarding process once we've approved their application. They will get a login and will complete all the modules and the quiz with a minimum of 80%, which will then lead to a prompt for them to submit their payment information. Once we get their payment information, they are automatically added to the directory. And what this all culminates to is, next slide, our overall impact. So with all of the program data in one centralized system, we can efficiently report on all aspects of the program using Power BI, which is connected through an API connection to Dropzone. The ability to easily report has been critical for communicating success of our programs, as well as determining backlogs for our team to focus on. Since 2019, we have onboarded 631 contractors through a large portion of the province. And you can see a map exported from Power BI on the right. So you can kind of see the dots where we have programs in the more northern areas of Alberta. And it's really cool because we're engaging contractors in those areas that often don't get to be involved in these kinds of programs. Our streamlined process for contractors sets a tone for participation in the program, and as a result, contractors have become a large sales force for SEEP. We understand this is side work for them, so the more streamlined their experience, the fewer barriers to participate in SEEP as a qualified contractor. As a result of all of this, we've had 862 projects completed so far using financing through SEEP, totaling more than $27 million, which is all going to local contractors for energy efficiency or renewable energy upgrades. Last slide, please. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you to FCM for having me today. Feel free to reach out to me directly at shannon@abmunis.ca if you have any questions about our system or about our contractor network. And with that, I will pass the mic to Soren Christensen from the City of Kingston.
Thank you, Shannon. That was great. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm Soren Christensen, if you haven't met me, project manager at the City of Kingston's Climate Leadership Division and program manager of the Better Homes Kingston program, which is our CEF-funded home energy retrofit program. I'm honored to present today and highlight our energy coaching services, which are a component of the success achieved to date through Better Homes Kingston. Next slide. So our program has a 20-year goal to retrofit 25 to 50% of Kingston's pre-1991 construction one-family homes by 2040, achieving an average carbon reduction impact of 30% per home. The Better Homes Kingston pilot ran from 2022 to 2025. We just finalized our closeout in December, and the pilot program offered no interest loans, incentives, and rebates for home energy audits. And a big key feature that I'll be showcasing today was free support for local residents to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions and energy consumption at home. The terms of the program, so we had 20-year loans tied to the property as local improvement charges, repaid through property taxes, and the program supported home energy improvements such as thermal envelope upgrades, mechanical systems, with a focus on fuel switching, renewable energy systems, EV chargers, water conservation, and now we're looking to expand more into climate adaptation measures. Next slide. So just before I get into details of energy coaching, I just wanted to highlight some of the impacts that were achieved in no small part due to our energy coaching services. So we completed 1,218 jobs in our pilot. One heat pump, for example, equals one job. We deploy, or 10.86 million in total value were invested across all projects. We completed 368 individual homes retrofitted, 7 million in PACE financing through the program, 1.78 million in incentives, and the average loan amount was around $20,700. With that, we achieved 1,460 annual greenhouse gas emissions reduced at the community level, which is about 27,000 tons over the life cycle of the project. That is equivalent to 6.4 million kilometers driven by car. And we had an average impact of 66% greenhouse gas emissions reduced per project, which is more than double our goal of 30%, and 0 instances of loan losses. And we achieved about $95 per ton of greenhouse gas emissions reduced. Now moving forward, reducing our incentives, we will look at getting that price down to closer to $35 a ton, so very cost effective from a investment standpoint for a municipality to drive greenhouse gas emissions reductions. Next slide. So a big part of our impact was our energy coaching services. They were a mandatory component of the program for all participants. Throughout the pilot and through our wrap-up and evaluation period, we consistently heard how important the energy coach was in helping participants understand the program, expand their knowledge of building science, and tap into all the available funding opportunities in the market at any given time to maximize their project's impact. This service meets people where they are, providing the necessary level of assistance from a simple point to the guidelines for some to full-on step-by-step support for others. And it is without a doubt one of the greatest reasons why we had such a high average impact per project. It's really critical to maintain this service, and we will be continuing to offer this in the next phase of the program. And even without financing available, some other municipalities are offering standalone energy coaching services just to underscore the value and the establishment of this as a best practice in home energy retrofit programs. Next slide. So you might be asking yourself, what does the energy coach actually do? And our energy coach, this is a full-time position delivered by Sustainable Kingston, which is a local environmental non-for-profit organization that is our third-party service delivery partner. The energy coach provides ongoing expert advice and guidance at no cost to the applicant on behalf of the program. So starting with support for individuals booking their home energy evaluation, and then offering ongoing help until the project is completed. They help participants understand the results of their home energy evaluation, delving into the renovation upgrade report, help with detailed planning of the retrofit project, including reviewing contractor quotes, sourcing and phasing of multi-step or multi-stage projects, and they help participants hit our performance requirements, and this leads to deep reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and energy consumption reductions. Next slide. So just 3 highlights, key insights into the impact of our energy coaching service. So the energy coach makes the program more accessible. It offers hands-on support, bridging gaps between local, provincial, and federal programs, earning strong homeowner praise for making complex projects easier and more approachable, especially for those applicants who otherwise might fall through the cracks in more high agency programs that require individuals to figure it out all on their own throughout the process. Next, financing plus support equals success. So homeowners really value the program's combination of interest-free loans and personalized guidance. Clear repayment structures remove financial barriers, while dedicated energy coaching explained options, answered questions, and built confidence. And many participants credited the coach as the reason they completed projects, highlighting its role in keeping retrofits on track. And there's a testimonial up there on the slide. One participant said, "We were about ready to give up on the whole program until I got to meet with Wes." That's our energy coach, showing how hands-on support kept projects moving forward. And finally, incentives drive deep retrofits. So we had a tiered incentive structure, and that encouraged comprehensive upgrades for maximum greenhouse gas emissions. And with coaching support, most homeowners pursued bundled projects, for example, completing a heat pump and insulation, or solar panels and replacing windows or a door, and this achieved deeper energy savings. And this approach proved highly effective in promoting ambitious retrofits and climate goals. That energy coach inspired people to go deeper. And it's amazing how even $1,000 or $2,000 in incentives can potentially inspire a homeowner to invest $10,000 or $15,000 more in their project. And especially when they're accessing financing, it can be such a great opportunity to stack with other programs, other incentives, and lead to a really deep impact. Next slide. So just to touch on some key lessons learned, a combination of performance-based incentives, personalized coaching, and municipally led oversight can create retrofit outcomes that are deeper, more cost-effective, and more transformative than conventional rebate programs, which place all the responsibility on the participant, not accounting for individual differences and unique challenges of each home and homeowner. 81% of homeowners took on multiple projects with an average emission reduction of 66%, showcasing how this energy coaching support drives those deep retrofits and enhances access to multiple funding sources, enabling deep impact. And finally, human support reduces attrition rates and leads to high customer satisfaction. We had more than 90% satisfied or very satisfied in our program. And realistically, it's important to remember that not everyone will ever be satisfied with anything. So 90%, we will take it. Next slide. So finally, just touching on recommendations to new programs or programs that are looking at offering energy coaching. Meet participants where they are. Be adaptable. Energy coaching is an opportunity to deepen impact and to really meet participants where they are, in that you can adapt your approach and offer hands-on support where needed and take a step back in other cases, and it all kind of balances out. On that note of balance, you do have to be careful to support, but also not create learned helplessness. So creating balance where you are pointing to the process, but also ensuring people understand what they're taking on and not doing everything for homeowners so that they're getting into deep water and not really understanding the implications of what they're doing. Finally, always ensure participants can access a phone number and call a real person. This sounds really simple, but this can be the difference between dropping out and successful completion of a project. And this is something you often don't see with higher level government programs. So simply being able to call someone, talk to someone real that you can trust and understand what you're signing up for and what you're going through can make all the difference to people following through and completing their projects. And next slide. Thank you, merci. And you can reach out to me at schristiansen@cityofkingston.ca if you have any questions. And with that, I will pass it on to Kaylee Halpro from Saskatoon.
All right, thank you, Soren. Great presentation. So good afternoon, everyone. As Anne mentioned, my name is Kaylee Halpro, and I guess as Soren mentioned as well, I am a project manager with the City of Saskatoon Sustainability Department. And today I'm pleased to share Saskatoon's journey in embedding equity into our home energy loan program. Next slide, please. So the Saskatoon Home Energy Loan Program, or HELP, is Saskatoon's residential property assessed clean energy, or PACE, initiative that was launched in 2021 to make energy efficiency, renewable energy, and water conservation retrofits accessible for single-family residential homeowners. HELP offers low-interest loans that are tied to the property and repaid through municipal property taxes. The program was originally funded through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, CEF, or Community Efficiency Financing Program, and an internal loan from the city. Recently, HELP was recapitalized with an additional internal loan, extending the program for up to another 3 years. HELP includes features designed for accessibility, flexibility, and equity. The program is administered by city staff and offers loans starting at $1,000 up to $40,000, or even as high as $60,000 for deep energy retrofits. Interest rates are fixed and updated annually, and there's a $750 administration fee, which is waived for income qualified participants. Unlike traditional loans, HELP loans are tied to the property rather than the individual. This means if you sell your home, the loan can be transferred to the new homeowner. Repayment terms are flexible, 5, 10, or 20 years, and there are no penalties for paying off the loan early or making lump sum payments. HELP also offers capacity building tools like the Home Energy Map, Solar Potential Map, and our Home Renovation Resources webpage to empower homeowners to make informed decisions. By embedding equity and aligning with Saskatoon's low emissions community plan, HELP helps meet environmental goals while maximizing co-benefits and leaving no one behind. Next slide, please. So we've built many features into the program to encourage income qualified homeowners to participate. These were shaped by Saskatoon's Equity Toolkit, which is now part of our triple bottom line tool that is used for all city-led projects. So key features that we incorporated include no credit checks or mortgage lender consent, low minimum loan amounts of $1,000 for smaller projects, income qualified supports such as waived administration fees and enhanced rebates, upfront contractor payments made directly by the city that include up to 50% deposit payments and future installment payments, a pre-vetted contractor list for confidence and reduced participant risk, and we encourage program stacking with other incentive programs, local incentive programs, federal programs, and we offer an accessible application process with plain language materials so participants can apply in person, online, or over the phone. Next slide, please. So moving on to some program results. By November of 2025, we had approved 381 homeowners, 30% of which were income qualified, and completed 237 retrofit projects, including 11 deep energy retrofits. These home retrofits have helped reduce more than 571 tons of CO2 equivalents. The most common improvements include windows and door upgrades, solar PV systems, high energy efficient furnaces, followed by insulation upgrades, water heater, and heat pumps. Financially, the program is strong. Over $6 million had been loaned, I should say, and we've had 0 defaults. Furthermore, according to a study completed by the Saskatoon Regional Economic Development Authority, or SREDA, HELP is projected to generate $10.3 million in economic activity and create 43 new jobs by year end. Program satisfaction is also high. 88% of our participants have stated that they are either satisfied or very satisfied with HELP. Like Soren, we will take the 88%. And we continue to receive strong support from City Council, the industry, and public. These successes have set the stage for the Community Energy Loan Program, or CELP, which is anticipated to launch in 2026 to support the multi-unit residential and commercial building retrofits, moving Saskatoon closer to its net zero by 2050 target. Next slide, please. Equity, simplicity, support, and strong partnerships have helped contribute to the success of HELP. First, equity-centered design. Using the Equity Toolkit, we made the program accessible with waived administration fees, higher rebates, upfront contractor payments, and low minimum loan amounts. Second, simple and inclusive financing, where loans are tied to the property, not the individual, with easy repayment through property taxes, no credit checks, mortgage lender consent, or penalties for early repayment. Third, through direct participant support. So our city staff is like our energy coaches, and they provide personalized help over the phone, email, and in person, making the process straightforward and accessible. And finally, through strong partnerships. So we've worked really closely with contractors, energy advisors, FCM, City Council, and our finance team, building trust and expertise to grow HELP and advance climate action. Next slide, please. So looking ahead, we do have some opportunities to improve and grow. So first, we'd like to strengthen engagement. We plan to improve outreach and communications to connect with diverse groups and boost participation. We plan to expand to new sectors through the Community Energy Loan Program. We'll bring PACE financing to the multi-unit residential and commercial buildings. And this program will also be designed with equity in mind. We plan to modernize program management, move from virtual spreadsheets to an online portal and better data tools for efficiency and accuracy. And we will continue to build trust and partnerships, work closely with contractors and partners while supporting homeowners to keep the programs strong. Next slide, please. So here are a few recommendations for other municipalities that are looking to start similar programs. So again, start with an equity-focused program design. Define your objectives and target groups early on. You can use the FCM Equity Toolkit. Build strong relationships and partnerships early on. Make participation easy with accessible applications and upfront payments. Focus on trust and transparency. Share those success stories, build that confidence, and finally, leverage national resources like FCM's Community of Practice, where we were able to share best practices and access peer learning opportunities. Next slide, please. So looking ahead, we're planning on finalizing and implementing our community energy loan program. We're going to explore adding resiliency measures to help so homes are not just energy efficient, but also better prepared for future climate challenges. And we will continue enhancing our online applicant portal and data systems to make program enrollment easier while ensuring transparency and efficiency. Next slide, please. So thank you for the opportunity to share Saskatoon's journey. For further information or collaboration, please feel free to reach out to me at kaylee.helcrow@saskatoon.ca. And also feel free to check out our program website at saskatoon.ca/help home. So now I'm going to pass it over to Jillian Young.
Thanks, Kaylee. Hello, everyone. My name is Jillian Young, and I'm a project officer on the capacity development team working on CEF under the Green Municipal Fund. And I will be facilitating a little bit of a discussion with our panelists just to give folks an opportunity to submit any burning questions that you have for Shannon, Kaylee, or Soren, either in the chat box or in the Q&A that we will address at the Q&A portion shortly after. So my first question is for Shannon, actually. So you had mentioned that contractors, that it's side work for them. You kind of had used that terminology and that the more streamlined experience reduces barriers for them to participate. And Alberta municipalities have successfully onboarded over 630 qualified contractors. That's a huge achievement. What would you say is the most significant strategies taken to help build and maintain such a strong contractor network?
Yeah, so to that first bit about, we know that SEEP projects are kind of a drop in the bucket compared to all of the work that they're doing. And so it's important to us that their time is appreciated and honored by streamlining onboarding and making it really easy for them to find answers to the questions they might have about the program or questions that their clients might have about the program. So yeah, streamlining the onboarding process has been really huge. Of course, we can't cut out everything. We want to make sure that we have a basically legitimate group of contractors, and we do that with some, basic background checks. The other thing that's been really useful is that education about the program is part of onboarding. So there aren't any, basically anyone listed on the contractor directory has to have gone through those learning modules I mentioned. At least one person in the company is a strong point of contact for any SEEP projects. And then we do also offer lunch and learn sessions where I'll meet with a team or, the leadership group of a company and just give them a very tailored presentation about SEEP and answer any questions that team has. And we always see that those people become even better salespeople for SEEP, and just more enthused about the program too, when they realize, what it's about and they understand it, have some ownership of it.
Awesome. Thanks, Shannon. Yeah, that's a really great answer. I'm going to direct a question to Soren now. And you touched on how one of the roles energy coaches can play is to help owners make sense of contractor quotes and essentially their role through the retrofit process. How do you see the role of contractors and energy coaches, something that Shannon spoke to and your presentation was on? How do you see their roles sort of complementing each other in guiding homeowners through the retrofit journey?
Absolutely. Great question. So I think for the homeowner, the energy coach is that impartial and unbiased representative that has great general knowledge on building science, but is not trying to sell anything. They see hundreds or in our case, thousands of quotes over the pilot. So they know what to look for in terms of average prices, specs, details. And they also speak the language of the contractor. Now, the relationship and sales contract is always between the homeowner and the contractor in our case. But where there's more information, or maybe there's an individual participating in the program that needs a little bit of extra assistance, the energy coach can help out with ensuring that the contractors are providing all of the information that we need to meet our own compliance with our quote requirements, and also just be that impartial, unbiased support to homeowners to ensure that they're getting a fair deal. And we definitely saw through fairly strict review of all of these quotes, we did see fairly standard prices, and in some cases prices start to come down a little bit, being more competitive because we were engaging with a group of contractors on hundreds and hundreds of projects. So yeah, that's all. I'll leave it there.
Thanks, Soren. Okay, I'll pass it to Kaylee now. That way we can kind of share the questions. And so for you, Kaylee, what lessons can other municipalities learn from the City of Saskatoon when it comes to embedding equity in financing programs without compromising the financial sustainability?
Yes, so thank you for the question. I would say a lot of them are actually listed in my presentation, but really to highlight a few recommendations that I would share to embed equity into financing programs without compromising financial sustainability would be, again, to make equity a priority from the beginning. I really think that using tools like the Equity Toolkit to set goals, remove barriers, guide decisions for who can participate and how, like not each program's designed for everyone, right? So really figuring out who your target group is from the start. Using those plain language applications, right? Providing that support. Helping to eliminate those barriers, helping participant understand their options, right? Like offering those tools and resources like the home energy map, right? Having that education really helps. I'd also say making the process easy for everyone, including those low income households. So like allowing, integrating those equity measures such as those low minimum loan amounts, waived administration fees, increased rebates if possible, and then providing that support like over the phone, in person, and by email, I think is really helpful. I also think that paying contractors directly and removing that upfront cost barrier would be one of my key recommendations. We've got lots of feedback on that in our program. And, we recently increased the deposit rates actually up to 50% of the total project cost, and then allowing up to a 90% payment in installment payments. So that's been really successful. And then I'd probably say reporting regularly on those key program metrics, those KPIs, and then continuing to build those relationships, working closely with contractors, energy advisors, those partnerships, right? FCM. So yes, that's kind of my recommendations.
Thanks, Kaylee. Yeah, those are wonderful recommendations and definitely worth mentioning again because they're so key to the success of the program from an equity perspective. Okay, well, with that, we're almost at time for the panel discussion. I won't let us go over, so I will hand the mic back to Anne because we've gotten a lot of questions in the Q&A that we can tackle now, and I'll hand it back to you, Anne.
Thanks, Jill, and thanks for everyone who's been sending your questions in the Q&A. I'll start with a question for Soren. They said, "Congratulations, Soren, your program sounds like a major success." And they asked, did you say that the energy coach is provided by a third party? And does this third party have branches in other provinces? And they asked if you have any advice on the specific background or expertise that an energy coach has to ensure success.
Awesome. Thank you. No, unfortunately, Sustainable Kingston only operates in Kingston, so no poaching our energy coach. But I like where your head is at. And I would say when we were hiring our energy coach, we were looking for someone with a strong understanding and knowledge of building science. We ended up hiring someone who was previously a home builder, and they were knowledgeable in general of energy efficiency, but also learned a lot on the job. But I would say when it comes to the energy coach, hire for the traits that you can't teach. I think patience and great communication skills are a lot harder to learn on the job than building science and like the house as a system approach and energy efficiency. So that is what we did. We hired someone with a good base of knowledge, but someone who had a great personality and incredible communication skills. And they have learned so much and grown in the role, and now they're an absolute pro.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Soren. And for Kaylee, we have a question for you. You mentioned energy advisors as a key example of strong partnerships that have built trust and provided expertise to grow, help, and advance climate action. Are there opportunities for local energy advisors to assist with the program who have experience with similar programs?
Yes, thank you for that question. Sorry, I was having technical difficulties there getting unmuted. Yeah, so we do work closely with our energy advisors right now. We do keep them in the loop. They promote our program. We work closely with them. So I would say that is kind of the opportunity to work with our local energy advisors. Like they're very integral to the program itself. Yeah. I don't know if I have anything else to say on that. There's no new opportunities, but yeah, I would say they validate our program as well. So any kind of retrofits, they do go into the homes afterwards, and they verify all the retrofits that have been done and do all of the validation. So they are very integrated into our program right now.
You're muted, Anne.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you, Kaylee. And I'm just seeing that Shannon also replied to a question in the chat, so I'll just read it out. Jeff had asked a similar question to what was just asked, and Shannon says, great question. We have a large group of energy advisors in our directory as each project is bookended by a pre-post project EnerGuide evaluation, and some participants find their evaluation reports as very helpful to guiding their choices, while others already have an idea of what they want to do. And I have a question for Shannon that we received in one of the registrations for this webinar, which is, Shannon, do you have any advice on upgrading contractor skills to do deep retrofits?
A great question. I think what we recommend right now is for contractors within whichever industry they are representing or they're coming from to lean on industry available learning webinars or programs. It is something that in my personal goal would be that we could be a bit of a hub for education, but there are also already a lot of industry groups that are providing educational opportunities to upskill into the more energy efficiency or renewable energy upskilling. So leaning on those industries would be probably better. That said, if you have any questions about where to go for that training, you can definitely send me an email because we are well connected with those industries as well. So feel free to send me an email and I can direct you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shannon. And I also have another question for Kaylee that has come in. They ask, how have you determined the project was successful in terms of equity, and what measurements did you use to do this?
Yes, thank you for the question. Great question. So I would say here in Saskatoon, we do measure equity impact through a variety of different measures. So I would say we measure it through access and uptake. So we do monitor how or sorry, I should say who joins the program and which supportive features they use, such as the waived administration fee, upfront contractor payments. Like I said, about 30% of our participants are income qualified and using those rebates and waive fees, right? I would say we measure it through experience. So we do have the post retrofit surveys or satisfaction surveys that through FCM. Um, so most people, I like we're right now we're getting about an 88% program satisfaction. Most participants have stated that they wouldn't have made upgrades without these key financing pieces. And they've also said that they are very satisfied with the internal administration of the program or those energy coaches. So, yeah. And then I think outcomes. So we track projects like the number of completed projects, the deep energy retrofits, any loan defaults that we've had, energy and emission savings, and economic benefits. So I would say those are the measures that we've kind of measured equity.
Awesome. And we do have one more question that came in through the Q&A, and it's for you again, Kaylee. And they want to know, they'd love to know if or how Saskatoon has integrated its home energy map into the workflow and broader toolkit of supports for homeowners, including with the HELP program.
Yeah, that's a great question as well. Thanks for the question. So recently, actually, we integrated the energy map. So when we first launched the home energy map, it was more of an education tool. Our program at the time was full. However, we have been since able to open new spots for new participants, and we've used the map. So in order to participate in the program, you have to sign up for the map, use the map. It gives you kind of like ideas on what you can do to retrofit your home. It gives you a cost benefit analysis. It kind of gives you a glide path on what retrofits to take. So now, recently, we integrated that into the program. And then once you are done with all your retrofits, we encourage you to go back into the map and claim your home so we can actually see those benefits. So we use it as a validation tool as well. I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kaylee. And I think that's it for questions that have come in through the Q&A, but we do have a question that came in beforehand for all of our panelists, which was, what's your experience with getting council support for these types of programs? I'll pass it over to Shannon to start us off with an answer.
So because we are the central program administrator for all Alberta municipalities that work with us, they are, each program has their own representatives that would be directly working with counselors. So we do a CEAP 101 where anyone who wants to register for that can attend. And so sometimes we do get counselors attending that to learn more about the program. But generally most of the sharing about the program happens internally between our municipal contact and then the counselors. We're happy to support on presentations, but generally that's the route for us.
Awesome. And maybe I'll pass it to you, Soren.
Thank you. Yeah, so we had initial really strong support to create the program from the former cohort of our council. And through the pilot program, we maintained support and knowledge of the program through annual updates to council that were very transparent, showed where we were in terms of financing, impact, number of projects completed, and then also always encouraging participants in the program to reach out and communicate, as well as those on the wait list to reach out and communicate to their counselors to help them to understand that there was demand. We also completed a survey and focus groups in wrapping up the program just to ensure that the engagement was validated and documented that there is ongoing demand, and we have successfully been extended to relaunch in 2026.
Awesome. And I'll pass it to you, Kaylee, to finish us off.
Thank you. For us, yeah, similar to Soren, I'd say we had strong council support to develop and launch the program. We've had continued strong council support to be able to recapitalize and to be able to expand to the multi-unit residential and commercial sectors. I would say, well, we do an annual status update report to council. So we, highlight all of, the process improvements and all of those KPIs. We highlight the FCM's participant satisfaction survey. So that has continued to provide, I think, positive council support. I think recently we completed a climate budget, which again really highlighted the potential for additional PACE programming and recapitalization of PACE programming, which again really opened the councilors' eyes to that potential and gave us that support to continue to provide PACE programming. So that is kind of my response to that one.
Awesome. And we have just enough time for one quick last question that I'll hand to Soren that we got before, which is how can a local energy advisor get involved in helping with this program's success?
That's a good question. So we personally completed some REA engagement sessions, just helping to understand our process, how it works, how REAs can help provide information to the program to ensure things go smoothly. So I would just say, if you're a local REA, reaching out and communicating with program administrators, and if you're a program administrator, not being afraid to just cultivate that air of transparency and create a bit of a community with some regular check-in meetings, explaining the program offerings, and even if you're pausing or there's something going on with the program, just ensuring you're communicating so that everyone's on the same page and moving forward together.
Awesome. Thank you all for your questions and to our presenters for your wonderful presentations and your answers. I'll move to the next slide. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for everyone for attending this webinar. Please stay connected via our newsletter or contact us. We're on all of the socials. And I'll go to the next slide.